Welcome to this lab. In this lab, I will teach you that how to work with one of the very popular simulator that is called as Cloud Analyst. So you can see here the title of the work. This work actually done by a group of researchers from Australia. So there you can go through this research paper, which I have already said, in which you will get the details, theoretical aspect of this particular simulator. So it is a cloud sim, again a simulator. So cloud analysis is also a simulator. So cloud analyst is a cloud sim based visual modeler for analyzing cloud computing environment and application, right? So it was developed by Professor Rajkumar Bhuiya, who has done a lot of works in the area of cloud computing, and a group of researchers of University of Melbourne. So they together build this particular tool, which provides a simulated environment. This is not an experimental environment. Try to understand the difference. There is a simulation environment, there is an experimental environment. Simulation means you are modeling it virtually and you are conducting the experiments. And another hand, if you go for experimentation, in experimentation, what we are doing, we are dealing with the real life things. For example, physics, chemistry lab, you are using chemicals, right? That chemical is a real chemicals you are dealing with. That is a experimentation. But this is a simulation environment because it is not practically possible to take 10 data center, okay, and work with these data centers, right? So we assume that these data centers can be created virtually through the simulators like Cloud Analyst, and we want to do some work in this Cloud Analyst, right? So the Cloud Analyst is a tool that is used, you can say, invoking the processes that are defined in the Cloud SIM. So those who have installed NetBeans, and if you have JDK, I have said the process also. The first process is you have to install the JDK, the latest version, right? I have written one JDK 8U181 Windows x64 as per my system configuration. The second step is you have to install the NetBeans. You check the latest version, you install it. Then you have to open the NetBeans. So let me open the NetBeans now. So all of you please open the NetBeans. The third step is you have to open the NetBeans. This step-by-step process I have said in your chat box. You can see. So it will take a little bit of time to open the NetBeans. And once NetBeans is ready, what you have to do? You have to open a project. How you are going to open a project? You will go to the file and click open project and locate the file. I have said one file, zip file, that is cloud_analyst. That file you have to open. So my NetBeans is now ready. So I am going to file. All of you go to file. You click open project. Okay. Wherever your cloud analyst is there, you have to locate it and click open project. Okay, it is already there in my file. Okay, you have to go to file, then open project, locate your cloud analyst file, that is zip file. Okay, that is the zip file, and you have to click open project. Okay, so once you're done with this, you have to select cloud analyst, then press this green button, or you can press F6 also. right? So I am clicking F6 now. So it is running your cloud analyst in your system. You can see cloud analyst. Then you will get a screen like this. Okay. So this screen is the welcome screen, you can say, which is showing a world map. How many of you have done up to this? Please write in the chat box.
Sir, can you tell once again from new project, sir?
Okay, let me close it. Let me delete this one. Otherwise, if I delete, then I can show a fresh demo. Yes. Now, when you after installing NetBeans, you don't have any project here, so no project is open. So I am clicking Open Project. Then you have downloaded that folder, right? In that folder, you see there is a Cloud Analyst. Cloud Analyst is there in that folder. Whatever said by your madam. So that zip file you have to extract. This zip file you have to extract. Okay, why it is not coming here? Okay, let me paste here and delete this one. This is not required. You have to extract the Cloud Analyst zip file. Maybe it is not coming. Just a minute. Otherwise, you paste that zip file into your desktop. We have to open this file, right? That is our objective. It's not locating. Okay, this is the zip file, right? Cloud Analyst just .zip. But you open as a project, not as a file. I don't know why it is not coming here. Are you able to locate your file? Can anybody respond?
Yes, sir.
Okay, why it is not coming for me?
వాళ్ళనే ఫస్ట్
Just a minute. Let me restart everything.
అన్మ్యూట్ అయిందని ఎంత ఉంది అన్మ్యూట్ అయిందంటారు ఎంత ఉంది
Otherwise, let me extract here. Is it possible? Yes. So now I am opening the Cloud Analyst, right? So you have to extract the zip file and open the project, right? So now it is doing the background scanning of projects. Okay, is the process is clear? Please write in the chat box. You have to let us start from beginning. Okay, you have to open the NetBeans, then click File, click Open Project, locate the Cloud Analyst, then Open Project, right? Then the project will be available here. You can see Cloud Analyst folder is there. Inside that there is a source packages is there and library is there, right? Then you have to select Cloud Analyst and press this F6 or click the Run Project. Now it is running, Cloud Analyst is running. So you are getting a graphical user interface like this. How many of you are getting this screen, or are you facing any difficulty? You can unmute and tell if you are facing any difficulty. Or you can write in the chat box. Okay. Now, what we will do, here you can see in the main, in the dashboard you can say, or in the welcome screen, you can see there are 5 buttons are there. One is configure simulation, second is define internet characteristics, third one is run simulation, fourth one is exit, fifth one is show region boundaries, right? These are the 5 buttons you are going to see. Okay, then apart from this, here there is a help button. If you click help and about, it is saying the author name who designed this simulator, the version is 1.0 beta, right? And his email ID, right? So we have to explore these buttons and we'll see what are the details available, how we can launch a particular simulation. Okay, obviously the exit button which I need not discuss, because once you click exit button, it will be quit from this setup, right? If I place exit, then I'm back to the NetBeans screen, right? Now, all of you can see here, there is 2 button is coming, 2 things it is coming. In red color, it is coming DC1. What is DC stands for? The data center 1. Means one data center is deployed in this particular region. Okay, and there is a blue dot here which represent UB1. UB stands for your user base 1. What do you mean by user base? User base is nothing but a set of user requests, right? So user base, right? That is UB1. One UB1 is there, one DC1 is there. What is our objective? The objective is that this UB1 you need to assign to this data center.
No, ya pude, por eso me gusta. Bueno.
Okay, so you can see here there is a user base 1 and there is a data center 1. Our objective is to assign this user base to the data center 1, right? But here it is only one data center and only one UB is there. So obviously the user base 1 is assigned to data center 1. Suppose you have multiple data center. Let's say another data center is here, that is DC2. Another data center is here at DC3. Another data center is here, let's say DC4. Then what you will do? Then you will check whether this user base will be assigned to data center 1 or to data center 4. Okay, or to data center 2 or to data center 3. Okay, whenever you have multiple resources, you have to decide where you can execute your application in a better way or more efficiently. More efficiently means you can say security constraints will be there, or you can say the execution time is less, or many parameters, whatever we discussed in the theory class, you can consider, right? Now, all of you please click this show region boundaries. I am clicking show region boundaries. Once you click it, you can see here the whole world map is now divided into 6 regions. And these regions are R0, okay, R1, R2, R3, R4, R5. Why it is divided into 6 regions? Because sometimes what happens with respect to these regions, the security, legislation, privacy, policy may be different. Okay, or the rules enforced in these regions are different. So in order to satisfy this particular constraint, in this simulation they have divided the whole world map into 6 regions. Somebody may say that I don't want to go to, if I belongs to region 0, I want to execute my work in the region 0 only. Similarly, other people can say in region 3, people can say that I want to execute my work in region 3, not in other regions. So that is the purpose why they have defined the region boundaries in the world map, right? So I hope you understand this part. Now let us go to the first button, that is called as our configure simulation. So once you click this configure simulation, you can get 3 settings. One is the main configuration. Second one is your data center configuration. Third one is your advanced configuration, right? Main configuration is specially meant for the user base. Data center configuration for the data center. Advanced simulation, advanced setting is nothing but setting the appropriate load balancing policy, right? So in the main configuration, you can see the simulation duration you can fix. Whether you want to run the simulation for 60 minutes or you want to run for 60 hours or you can run for 60 days. Okay, based upon your real life simulation, you can fix this parameter. Okay, so I am keeping it 60 minutes. So this simulation will run for 60 minutes. The duration is 60 minutes, but you will get the result because it is a completely virtualized environment. But if the same simulation you want to go for experimentation, what is the duration that you are fixing? So let it be default one, that is 60 minutes. Now come to the user base. You can see here there is a user base and the name of the user base is your UB1, which is there in the region 2, which you can give with respect to the user base. You can select the region from 0 to 5 because there are total number of region is 6. Then you can fix how many requests per user per hour can be submitted. So it is saying 60 requests per hour per user per hour. So a group of user can also request the resource in Cloud Analyst that is there inside a user base. How much data size per request, that also you have to specify. That is called as data size per request in bytes. And in cloud, there is 2 different time is there. One is called as your peak hour, another is called as your off-peak hour. What is the meaning? Peak hour means the hour in which people need the resources. Off-peak hour means the people are not going to subscribe for a particular resources because that time is the rest time, you can say. For example, if you see the network provider also, many network providers are there. They are saying if you recharge 7 rupees or 9 rupees, you can make unlimited call in between 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. Why it is so? Because that hour is a off-peak hour in which the number of calls are very less. Similarly, here also in cloud, you have to define a off-peak hour, another is peak hour. Peak hour means generally we assume in cloud policy we are assuming peak hour is nothing but your 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. Okay, and off peak hour is nothing but 12 a.m. to 12 p.m. which is running now. Now we are in the 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. to 12 p.m. slot. So here you can select that thing because the price enforced to peak hour and off peak hour is different. Peak hour price is always more, off peak hour price is always less. That's why here we are specifying the peak hour is starting at 3 GMT. Today in today's class I told you people are referring GMT mean time. Okay, Greenwich mean time is supported. We are following Indian Standard Time, right? And peak hours end at 3. So 3 to 9 in the GMT. If anybody want to request any request, they need to pay more because that is a peak hour. But rest hour it is a off peak hour. Okay. So another parameter you can fix here. Average peak hour is peak users is 1000 and average off peak users is 100. So these parameters you can change. For example, I want to change here number of user requests. I want to make 100. Data size I am writing 1000 bytes. Peak hour starts at let's say 12 and ends at let's say 10. Okay, means it is 12 to let's say let me write 23. Is it okay? Yes, that is 12 p.m. to 23 in the 24 hours 24 hours format I am writing. Average number of users you can select to 10,000. Average peak off peak hour is let's say 100. So this is your user base 1. Suppose you want to create another user base, then you can click this add new button. Okay, you can select user base 2. Let me create this user base 1. I'm selecting user base 1 into region 0, user base 2 to region 1. Okay, then I am adding another user base to region 2, another user base to region 3, another user base to region 4, another user base to your region 5. Okay, so I am taking one user base per region to show you the simulation. Okay, you can change these parameters, whatever we discussed and whatever we changed for the user base 1, similar things you can change for other user bases. Okay, so once you click that done button, now you can see with respect to one region, you have one user base. Like region 0 is having user base 1, region 1 is having user base 2, region 3 is having user base 4, region 2 is having user base 3, region 4 is having user base 5, region 5 is having user base 6. So with respect to one region, I have created one region, one user base. Somebody may tell that, sir, I want to put 2 user base in the first region. It's okay, no problem. You create a new user base and put in region 0. And click done. Then you can see in the region 0, you have 2 user bases. Okay. So are you able to create these user bases? Please let me know. You can unmute and tell, or you can write in the chat box. Are you able to create user base, or you are facing any difficulty? Please let me know before proceeding to the next one. Please respond. Are you following me? Okay. Now, what you have done, you have created user base. You know how to create the user base and how to set the parameters such as request per user per hour, data size for request in bytes, peak hour start, peak hour end, average number of users that will be available in the peak hour, average number of users that will be available in the off-peak hour. Right? Now, the second thing what we want to discuss here, that is called as our application deployment configuration. I want to deploy a particular application. Where I will deploy? I will deploy in the data center. User bases need to be executed in the data center. A user need to execute its application in the data center. That's why this section explicitly given for application deployment configuration. So here you can see you have only one data center, and I told you data center consists of a set of servers, and each and every server you can create a set of virtual machines. Like here you can see the data center 1, I am creating 5 virtual machines. Okay, you can increase it. Let's say I'm writing 50 virtual machines. That is possible. And in order to run a particular virtual machine, what you have to do? You have to supply the data to that particular virtual machine. And each and every virtual machines can hold a memory as well as bandwidth. That we are specifying here. Image size is 10,000, memory is 512, bandwidth is 1000. Okay, you can increase and decrease as per your convenience. Now, what I want the same thing what I did for user base, the same thing I want to do for data center. What I want to create one data center per region. So what I will click add new. Once you click add new, you will get an error. What it is saying? The error message is showing all available data centers seem to be allocated. Whatever the data center you have created, that all are you have allocated. Please create a new data center before you can create further allocation. So first you have to create a data center, then only you can add here. Otherwise it is not possible. Right? So there is a data center tab. If you go for the data center configuration tab, there you can create the data center. Right? So before going to the data center configuration, one more thing I want to discuss here, that is nothing but your service broker policy. So there are 3 service broker policy available in Cloud Analyst. One is called as your closest data center. Second is called as your optimized response time. Third one is reconfigure dynamically with load, which is there for future use. So I will discuss these 2 things only, closest data center and optimized response time, because this is reserved for future use. First one is closest data center. What is the meaning of closest data center? If you see this user interface, so you can see here for UB1, which data center is the closest one? Data center 1. For UB7, which data center is close? Data center 1. As there is a one data center is available, so for all the user bases, data center 1 is the closest one. Okay, because we do not have any other data center, right? Till now we do not have any data center. Once we will create the data center, then the scenario may change. So all the user requests will reach to the nearest data center. For example, let me assume that there is a data center here that I call as DC2. So this user base will be assigned to data center, and this user base will see whether data center 1 is near or data center 2 is near. Whichever is closest, that data center it will pick for its execution. Very simple algorithm, that is closest data center. Which data center is close to you, you have to identify. That data center which is close to you, you are going to execute the application in the data center. Right? But what is the problem? The main problem with this closest data center, try to understand, If there is a single data center, then what happens? All user bases will go to that data center. So that data center is overloaded, or it may happen that the data center may fail. On the other hand, closest data center may not perform well also. For example, assume that for UB3, the closest data center is DC2. For UB3, the closest data center is DC2. So you have assigned all the work to DC2. But DC2 is completely busy. DC2 is preoccupied by other user bases. Then what will happen? Your process will be queued. Your process will be queued in that data center, which leads to more response time. Or you can say poor response time. The response time is not good. What is the moral of this one? The moral thing is that the closest data center may not give you the least response time. Right? Just an example I can tell you. Suppose you are residing in X location. Okay, there is a shopping mall Y near it to you. There is another shopping mall which is far away from you, that is Y dash. So the closest shopping mall is Y for you, right? But whenever you reach to Y is having heavy rush. So the time required to purchase the item and generate the bill and check out from the shopping mall takes more time. But instead of going for Y, if you choose Y dash, which is not having heavy rush, so there you can get better service. The response time taken by this Y shopping mall is let's say 25 minutes. But even if Y dash is far away from you, its response time is 15 minutes, including your travel time and everything. So what we can infer in this case? We infer that the closest data center may not provide better result if it is already occupied by other user bases. So that is the demerit of the closest data center service broker policy. Always the closest one may not provide you the result in short span of time. It may result to long time also. So in order to avoid this, there is a second service broker policy. You can see here, the second service broker policy is called as your optimized response time. Means what you will do, this user base, let's say there is another data center here, that is DC2. Okay, this user base checks the response time of this data center, checks the response time of this data center. Wherever it is getting the less response time, that data center it is going to assign the user bases or user request. Okay, not to the closest data center. Similarly, as a part of your BTech project, you can devise a new algorithm which is providing better result than the closest data center and optimize response time. And you can inbuilt in this cloud analyst, and you can run the simulation and produce the result. Okay. So these are the two service broker policies available under configure simulation, right? Similarly, any other policies, if you are in your mind, you can inbuilt here. This is nothing but writing the Java code, nothing else. You have to create a Java file and you have to write the code. The rest thing is completely same. You need not worry about rest configuration. Right? Now, come to the second configuration, that is called your data center configuration. So you have seen that there is one data center is already available in region number 0, which is following your x86 architecture. You know there is two architecture while you are installing anything, any software, or you are visiting any software websites. You know that it is asking which type of architecture your system has. It may be x86 architecture or it may be x64 architecture. And a data center may be having a host operating system Linux or it may having operating system Macintosh or Mac operating system, or it is having Windows operating system. And that data center using a hypervisor, or we call it is by a virtual machine monitor. That is, they are using XEN as a virtual machine monitor. You can use also VMware, you can also use KVM, any types of VMM you can use, but this particular simulation tool provides the VMM as XEN. And once you are using this data center, you are going to pay for it. Suppose I am using the data center for 10 hours. I have to pay the cost for 10 hours, because you know that cloud computing is you have to use the service and you have to pay as for your usage. Okay, so that's why the cost for a virtual machine is dollar per hour is 0.1. You can change these values also, there is no problem. And memory cost is $0.05 per second. Storage cost is $0.1 per second. Data transfer cost is $0.1 per second. And physical hardware unit, I told you a data center consists of a set of physical servers or physical hardwares. So that also you can write here. Let's say I'm writing 10. I want to change it to 10, but it is not changing. Why it is not changing? Its configuration you can set here. How many physical hardware units will be there with respect to the data center 1, that you have to fix here. Okay, so now you can see the data center 1. If I click, so it is showing this data center is having two physical hardwares with ID 0 and 1. The memory available in the physical hardware is like this. Storage is given, available bandwidth is given. Number of processor inside that physical hardware is 4. Processor speed is 10,000, and they are following policies. One is they are following two policies. One is either VM. There are two VM policies are available. One is time set, another is space set. Okay, two policies are available. One is time set, another is space set. What is time set? Two user bases can spare the same time. For example, I want to run the simulation for 10 units of time. Two user bases can run simultaneously. Okay, or in the space set mechanism, what you can say, the amount of storage or amount of memory assigned to a particular user base, that can also be set by another user base. So there is two VM policies. By default, it is time set here. Suppose I want to increase the number of physical units. So what I can do, I can add here. So I'm adding here, you see 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 0 to 9 is 10. Now I can change the physical unit to 10. Means inside the data center, you have 10 physical units. And inside that physical unit, you have 4 processors each. You can increase or decrease it. And inside that physical number of processors, you are creating the virtual machine. Right? And you can also select a particular configuration and click copy. I am saying the physical unit 5, I need 3 copies. Okay. So it is creating another 3 copies. While I am creating 3 copies, it may happen that sometimes the hardware is failed or the server is failed. So if a server is failed, its backup copy will be active. One backup copy will be active. That's why I am creating multiple copies of the same physical hardware. Right? Now all of you do one thing. By clicking this add new button, you create the data centers in each and every region. So I'm clicking here data center 2. I'm writing it should be in region 1. I'm creating another data center. It should be in region number 2. Data center 4, it should be available in region 3. Data center 5, it should be available in region number 4. Data center 6, it should be available in the region number 5. or I want to deploy a extra data center, let's say in region number 4. I'm randomly picking, let it be 4. Now you can click the done button, but till now, if you click the done button, you can see still it is showing one data center only. It is not showing other data center because you have created the data center, but you have not added these data center into main configuration. So in order to add into main configuration, what you will do? You have to go for main configuration. Here you can add data center. So let me add the data center 2, add data center 3, let us add data center 4, add the data center 5, add the data center 6, and add the last data center, that is DC7 in region number 4. Now you click done button, you can see now the data center is available. Okay. So you can see 2 data center is available in the user base, in the region number 4. 2 data center is available, that is DC5 and DC7. In other region, only 1 data center is available. Okay, please confirm whether you are able to create the data center or not in the chat, or you can unmute and tell. Are you able to create the data center and it is reflected in the screen? Please check and tell me. If you are facing any difficulty, please inform me. Okay, so in this way you can deploy the data centers into all over the world, or a cloud service provider is deploying the data center in this manner. But this is a simulation, we are not physically deploying the data center. But before going for the experimentation, you can conduct the simulation here, right? Now let us go to the configure simulation. Only one tab is left, that is our advanced tab. In advanced tab, you have 4 options. First option is user grouping factor in the user base. So in order to group the user, okay, you can form the groups among the user, right? That you can fix here. This is equivalent to your number of simultaneous user for a single user base. How many users are active in a single user base, you have to fix here. Similarly, another factor is there, that is request grouping factor in the data center, which is equivalent to the number of simultaneous requests of a single application server instance can support. In order to run an application in the server, you have to create the instances, right? You are creating instances, and multiple instances can run at the same time, where each and every instance belongs to a particular user. That also you can fix here. You can also fix the executable instruction length per request. Okay, 100 bytes or 1000 bytes, that you can fix here. So you can increase or decrease as per your requirement. Now, the very important part in this configure simulation is our load balancing policy across a virtual machine in a single data center. Load balancing says that how VMs are going to be assigned from the data center, or how you are going to manage the load of the virtual machines. For this, you have a set of policies. The very first policy is round robin. Round robin says equally you have to share the loads among the servers. Okay. So you can see the round robin policies. The first task can be assigned to first machine. If you have 3 machines, first task you can assign to first machine. Second task you can assign to second machine. Third task you can assign to third machine. Fourth task you again assign to the first machine. Fifth task to the second machine. Sixth task to the third machine. Or sixth user base to the third machine, and so on. Sixth user request also you can say to the third machine, and so on. This process you are going to follow in the round robin policy. Okay. So you can see here details you can find in this paper. The round robin policy, here it is written. The default load balancing policy uses a round robin, which allocates all incoming requests to the available virtual machine in round robin fashion without considering the current load of each virtual machine. So it may happen that if you have a 6 requests and 3 machines, let's say machine 1, machine 2 and machine 3, that is 2 requests per machine. If you are assigning 2 requests per machine, it does not indicate that they are equally loaded. Sometimes what happens, these two tasks is having 1 GB of processing, but these two tasks is having 1 MB of processing. That's why it is saying without considering the current load on the virtual machine. Whether these virtual machines are executing some work prior to arriving of these requests, or these requests are having different sizes also, that round robin is not considering. That's why the second algorithm is there, that is called as throttle load policy. What this throttle scheduling is doing, it is limiting the number of requests being processed in the each virtual machine. Let this virtual machine can execute 5 works, so at max 5 works can be assigned to this virtual machine. If 6th work is working, until unless 1 work is over, you are not going to assign that request to that particular virtual machine. Okay, so it is limiting the number of requests being processed in the virtual machine to a particular threshold. Let the threshold is 5. If requests are received causing this threshold to be exceeded in all available virtual machine, then the requests are queued until a VM is available. Until unless the virtual machine is available, you should not execute, because you are going to, if you execute, it will violate the throttle threshold. So this is another policy, load balancing policy. The third load balancing policy you can see here, that is called as equally spread current execution load. You have to see the current load on each and every virtual machine. Based upon that current load, you are going to assign the request to the virtual machine. So you can select one of the load balancing policy from here. Right? So by default is round robin. So this is all about the first button, that is your configure simulation. Okay. Then the second button, that is called as your define internet characteristics. So it may happen that a region 0 work, you can see here, the region 0 work can be assigned to region 1 or region 2 or region 4 or region 3 or region 5, because the closest data center may not be optimal one. So in order to deal with this, we are writing define internet characteristics, in which we are mentioning if you are switching from region 0 to region 1, region 0 to region 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, what is the delay time? That is nothing but the transmission delay between the region. Units are in the millisecond. If you are transferring a request, you have to pay the transmission delay. Similarly, we have a bandwidth matrix. In bandwidth matrix, what we are seeing, the available bandwidth between the region. So you are transferring the data, that depends upon the network bandwidth, right? If your bandwidth is slower, then the data transfer is always so slower. So bandwidth matrix you have to fix, and bandwidth is represented here in the form of Mbps. Right? These are the two metrics available under internet characteristics. So once you're done with this, you can change this configuration. So as I have not modified anything, that's why it is saying file to save bandwidth matrix file. We have not changed anything. What is there? And let it be there, right? We don't want to modify. Then you can click the run simulation button. So the simulation is now running. You can see the progress of the simulation. Now it is completed. So one report is generated. It actives one file also. Here you can see a display detailed result is shown here. If you click that, you can see the simulation results here, right? So before going to the discussion on these display results, you can see UB7 is assigned to data center 1. Another user base is also there, that is also assigned to data center 1. UB2 is assigned to DC2, UB3 is assigned to DC3, and UB5 is assigned to both data center. They have divided the work, data center 5 and data center 7. UB4 is assigned to DC4, UB6 is assigned to DC6 because you have selected the closest data center policy. If you select the optimized response time policy, based upon that, the simulation result may vary. Okay. Now let us go to the result. You can see what is the overall response time of all the user bases in the data center, that you can get average time, minimum time, and maximum time in milliseconds. You can also see the data center processing time, how much time the data center took to execute these things, the details you can get. And user base hourly average response time also you can get graphically. Whatever result is represented here in the tabular format, there is the average time and minimum time and maximum time. That is also represented in the form of graphical, in the pictorial representation. Similarly, data center average time, minimum time, maximum time in millisecond also you can get with their graphs. Data center loading time, that is request per hour, how many requests are executed per hour, that also you can identify. And you have also set some cost. I told you, some peak hour you are putting some cost, off peak hour you are putting different cost, or you are putting virtual machine cost, storage cost, memory cost, XYZ cost. The total cost you have to pay, that is $8.303. And total data center cost is $1.45. So the grand total you are going to pay in order to execute these user bases in the data center is $9.48. Okay, and the detailed one, how much cost is charged for virtual machine, how much cost is charged for data center, and what is the total cost, you can find from this particular table. Okay, so this is the cloud analyst tool. Okay, so are you able to get these results? Can anybody respond? Are you able to get the results?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this is not the live work. This is all already there. You have to simply click and do the work, right? So what I am suggesting you, that you click, you can save this simulation also. Suppose you want to save this configuration, you can go, for example, I want to save in NIT Warangal and extension is .sim. So I am saving this one. So later point of time, if I want to run the simulation, I can run with the same configuration. So this is all about cloud analyst. What you can do, I am telling you, you press the exit button, you read this paper thoroughly, then you can see here there is a source package. Inside the source package, you can see there is a service broker here. Okay, you can see there are a lot of files are there inside this folder. Okay, and set of libraries are also there. You can find these libraries, right? So we are not going to the library part. So you can see these are the service broker policies. One is Cloud App Service Broker Java, Dynamic Service Broker Java, Service Proximity Service Broker, Best Response Time Service Broker. So you can click and read this particular code. Okay, whatever code is there, and there are packages you try to understand, and you try to create a new service broker policy, or you modify this user broker policy, right, and inbuilt here without changing other configuration. Like here you can see for the data center broker there is a code is written, for storage there is a code is written, topology there is a code is written, or the time shared policy or space shared policy, the code is written, right? So what you have to do, either you have to modify the service broker policy, or you can modify, I'm telling you the round robin part, or there is that not in the network. Okay, just a minute. These are the related to your internet characteristics. Okay, this is a VM allocation policies. So you read these files and try to modify. Yes, this round robin and data center controller throttle scheduling. These are there in the inside the data center. So you read these files and try to modify this particular file and run with the same configuration, so that you can conduct a lot of simulation using cloud analyst, right? So this is the things, and I am telling you another thing. So here a list of experiments are there. So you have to create one data center with 50 virtual machine. You have to create two data center with 25 virtual machine, two data center with 50 virtual machine each, two data center with 50 virtual machine each with peak load sharing. So there are 7 experiments are there. You try to configure these 7 experiments and check whether these results you are getting or not, right? These are the 7 experiments you can do in the cloud analyst, which is given in this paper with results. So you check whether the result is same or not by going for the default policies, like you have to go for Progress data center, as well as you have to go for load balancing policy like round robin, and run the simulation and check the results. Okay, this is all for the cloud analyst.